meeting today is a ordinance on our ad valorem tax and public hearing, and ordinance 605, which is our budget. And so that being said, I'll turn it over to Jim or Clint and we'll get started.
Yeah. Just need to call for public hearing. There.
So, yep. Motion to call a public hearing on ordinance 604. Is there a second? Second.
Sorry, sir, read the motion.
Yeah. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Same sign.
Does anyone want to speak?
Right, okay.
Oh, that's-
I'll get to that.
Oh,
Okay. All right. Now, we have a public hearing on our ad valorem tax. Anybody in the public like to speak on our ad valorem tax? Okay, we got a motion, second.
Can I ask a question?
You like to speak on it?
Well, when you say the ad valorem taxes, are you talking about the entire budget?
Property tax millage that we're gonna levy this year.
Okay,
That's all this is.
that's all this
Yep.
is.
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
Okay, then a motion and second, and motion passed 5-0. We'll read ordinance 604.
bear with me, gotta read the whole thing. Ordinance 604, an ordinance of the city of Port St. Joe, Florida, levying the ad valorem property tax millage rate for municipal purposes on all taxable property within the city for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2023, and ending September 30, 2024, stating the percentage by which the millage levied is 15.69% more than the rolled back rate, and providing for an effective date. Whereas Florida law requires the city commission of the city of Port St. Joe, Florida, to pass an ordinance or resolution levying the millage rate for ad valorem property taxes for municipal purposes on all taxable property within the city limits of the city of Port St. Joe, Florida, for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2023, and ending September 30, 2024. Whereas Florida law requires said ordinance or resolution to state the millage rate to be levied and also state the percentage by which the millage rate is greater, equal to, or less than the rollback rate is computed pursuant to Florida law. And whereas the city commission of the city of Port St. Joe, Florida, has duly considered the budgetary requirements of the city, has adopted a tentative budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2023, and ending September 30th, 2024, based on a millage rate of 3.5914 mils on the taxable property within the city, and has acted in accordance with the terms, provisions, and procedures contained in section 200.065 Florida statutes. Now therefore, be it enacted by the people of the city of Port St. Joe in special session assembled that, one, the ad valorem property tax millage rate for the municipal purposes to be levied on the taxable property within the city limits of the city of Port St. Joe, Florida, during the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2023, and ending September 30th, 2024, is hereby set at the rate of 3.5914 mils. Two, the percentage by which the millage rate is to be levied is more than the rollback rate of 3.1043 mils, computed pursuant to Florida law, is 15.69%. This ordinance shall be effective October 1st, 2023.
All right. Next, we have the ordinance 605, which is our 23-24 budget. Open the meeting for a public hearing. Anybody like to speak on our tentative budget, which actually can be changed today, and it can also be changed at our next meeting before the final reading, correct?
Yes, sir. Today, basically, you need to make the final decision on your budget, because if you make a substance change at your next meeting, then you have to have, or you're more likely have to have another hearing and report it to your department president. So yes, we need to make a decision today.
This is it.
Yeah, very good. Okay. All right. Anybody like to speak on the budget? Please come up. Whoever you'd like to speak first.
Is this about do I have to speak about the budget, or I got to speak about something else?
We're on ordinance 605, the budget right now. It's got to be, okay.
Christy McElroy, Woodward Avenue.
at one of the budget workshops, Mr. Hoffman, I entered it into the record. It was at a budget workshop. Commissioner Hoffman is serving on a committee that is looking at ways to improve ball field areas. He stated that the county is willing to help with this project. He would like to see the city move forward with the improvements. So when it comes to this budget, my first question is, do you have money in the budget for this particular process?
All the improvements, we have park improvements in there, is that correct? Yeah, I forget what, maybe you would look that up quick, say how much that is, but we do, yes.
Yep, on page 2, you do have your capital expenses under your general fund. We have a lot of different recreation.
Okay.
Can you give me the number on that, Jim, please?
There's several different ones in there. There's actually for city complex planning, we have $50,000 for recreation. Let's see. Just for recreational projects, we got $313,000, and the city, several years ago, put back $1 million for sports complex.
Okay, so there is the $1 million for the sports complex out of the Field of Dreams. Is
There's
that,
not been a final decision as to where it's gonna be used on. It was just earmarked for sports.
and was that due to COVID funds?
Yes.
Okay, and those were federal funds? Is that-
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so they're federal funds. That's interesting. Thank you for clarifying that. And then as far as, so I want to address that real quick because I contacted Miss Charlotte, and I'm going to put this in the record, give y'all a copy of it, even though most of you got a copy of it. When he said he serves on a committee, there is no city committee, and that's one question that I asked Miss Charlotte because I wanted to see on the minutes. And then I had a lovely conversation with Miss Sylvia yesterday morning, who is the director of the TDC. And I asked her if I could see any committee meeting minutes concerning the $500,000 that Commissioner Hoffman talked about that the county would use down at the park. And she said she doesn't know anything about that. And there is no committee. And I had a pretty lengthy conversation with her about that. It was kind and considerate, and she could tell I was upset, meaning, unsettled by the whole situation. So she assured me she would contact Clay Smallwood and see if he knows anything, because she felt like, as the director of the TDC, if there's TDC dollars that are being, talked about, and she was going to watch the tape for Tuesday, that she should probably know about that. So I guess my question is, was the committee Commissioner Hoffman and the assistant administrator Clay Smallwood? Was that the committee?
Let me slow you down there. I know you're really upset about this issue.
Yes, sir.
And
And
if we
it,
quit talking about committees and let's talk about the budget, if the budget has anything to do with anything, if you can maybe condense that down a little bit,
well,
Christie.
yeah, I can't, because Mr. Hoffman said he served on a committee at a budget workshop, and it was in the city meeting minutes for that workshop. It's in the meeting minutes for that workshop.
Okay,
Okay, so he said he's serving on a committee, and I checked with the city and the TDC that say there is no committee. So what I want to know is, who is the committee?
well, I can't answer that. I can maybe speculate on it, and I speculate that maybe Commissioner Hoffman used a wrong choice of words. I would think that he met with people at the county that had the same ideas that he had about improving 10th Street. So we've never, as far as I'm concerned, anybody can meet with anybody at any time as long as it's in the sunshine and you only have one, elected official there. And so, that's my take on it. There never has been discussion about a committee.
Well, there
Mr.
was,
Hoffman felt he had talked to quite a few people with, Dixie Youth, and, they wanted to see something get done, and so he felt like, he wanted to get something done too, so that's what
okay,
it amounts to. And if I misspeak,
If you want me to tell you the whole story, I'll be glad to.
okay, you like to tell you, and then let's kind of get back to the
yeah,
budget.
and I
We
also.
need to, Chris.
Yes, I
don't
understand
wanna-
that.
I don't
Mayor,
wanna have to
Mayor,
stop
I
you.
drove all the way from Tallahassee to be here for this meeting.
We appreciate it, but we can't let you.
Good, and I don't pick the time or the day. Y'all do.
But we can't
So-
let you dominate a whole hour of the
No,
meeting
sir,
with your.
no, sir, and I don't want
And
to.
please respect our time.
Yes, and you respect my time
I'm giving you plenty
hours.
of it.
and all the gas money that I spent coming over here. So please respect that, okay?
For Commissioner Hoffman, though.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was approached by the county. And I don't wanna, I can't remember if it was Clay or if it was,
So it wasn't a committee.
Commissioner Quinn. And they asked me, well, if you'll let me speak, I'll tell you the story. If you're gonna interrupt me, I'm not gonna finish.
I get it. I know.
So they asked me, would I, pretty much was like, what do you think the feelings of the city is about 10th Street ball field? And I said, well, you know where I'm at. I'd still like to see something move forward. I think our kids deserve it. And I said, well, I can't speak to about the opinion of the other commissioners other than what you've seen from our meetings and read about. And I said, but I would like to talk about it. First thing I did was go down and talk to the city attorney and Jim in Jim's office. And I said, hey, I want to make sure that this isn't something I'm not supposed to do. Is it okay if I go to the county and sit down with Clay and Sandy? And I was assured that's fine. That's not an official meeting of any sort. We're not violating anything. It was 100% transparent. So that's what I did. I went down there and I sat with Commissioner Quinn, Clay Smallwood, Lisa Forehand, representing the girls softball side, and Tim, what's his last? Tim, he represents the baseball. I think he's the director of the baseball program. And we talked about ideas in general of trying to fix the fields. And we talked about, revisited some of the things that's now a few years old where we had option 1, option 2. We even talked about, I brought to them the idea of closing 10th Street based on information that you actually presented. When you talked about the vehicles traveling and it was unsafe on the walking path, I shared that with them. And I said, yeah, I think that's a good idea. We talked about even diverting the walking track to swing around the other side of the field. We talked about new bathrooms, new concession stands, a new batting cage, general ideas. And then we stressed, and I stressed, and Commissioner Quinn was completely in support of making sure if this does get moving forward, and we're successful with doing it, we talked about the lawsuit and the fact that we would follow the rules of the lawsuit where we would get a development order. And then at that particular, during that conversation, we talked about, well, the first thing you have to do is get a permit. Because if you've got to fix the pipe that's in the middle of the ball field that's caving in. And we said, well, if we're going to do that, let's let the engineers come in and weigh in on what they think is the most effective way to move that water. And Clay is an engineer, and he weighed in on some of the ideas of what he thought we could do. And I said, well, let's talk to Jim about getting the permit process started. I talked to Jim, and I was under the understanding that we were moving forward with at least applying for the permit. Then I found out that we had not done that, so I went back and talked to Jim and said, what was the deal? And he's like, well, I think it's better that we bring it up in a meeting and we actually find out what the support or lack of support with the city commissioners are. And I understand his logic. He didn't want to do it just based on my opinion. So that's where we then came and put it on the agenda and discussed it to move forward with the first step, and that's the permit process. Now, the permit, like you've heard me say, every time I've discussed it, if the experts come back and say, you're not going to help by doing the pipe, or you're not going to help by doing this and that, or you're going to have a negative impact, then it's not going anywhere. But if they come back and say, we've got some great ideas, we think we actually can improve the flow of water and do these things that will help the city of St. Joe, then I'm going to support and move forward and have the workshops, get the development order, and hope to have the support of the other people that have a say in this here. And we listen to the community, we listen to the ball players, the coaches, the parents, and hopefully at the end of the day, when something is done, if I am successful in gathering support, we would have a safe environment for our kids to play ball. That's the whole story. And if I left something out, it wasn't on purpose.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And I think if you would have said that and teed that up at a meeting, the last meeting, we could have had discussion there. Now, I would like to say that you left out an important party in your discussions, and that's the neighbors. That's the neighbors. And who have experienced flooding in that area. And so that's a critical part that you have not gone to, Mr. Hall.
But you make it sound like we've now built the ball field and we didn't talk to the neighbors. This was the very first step. And I assure you, there was conversation both with the city and with the county about, we actually talked about canvassing the entire neighborhood of Woodward and Marvin during our discussions. So we haven't left anyone out. It's like the other day, when you got so upset saying, I dare you, you should be ashamed of yourself for not doing the development order. Well, it's not time to do the development order. It's not time to canvass the neighborhood. That's during the workshop process.
Well, what I said is you have to have a development order. That's what I said.
And I agree. I agree.
And so,
we'll have a development order,
and
I assure
so
you.
understanding, and I guess from Jim's perspective, since Jim seems to be doing the permitting portion, I'd like to know who you are looking to permit through.
We'll turn it over to our engineers. I cannot sign off on the permit. It's gotta be signed off by PE to do some error on the SDP, so. At this point in time, they're just now starting the process, so the board of it.
Okay, do you have any documents, or who's the engineer? Is it Josh
Dewberry.
Dewberry? And I assume Josh is
I'm
assigned.
sure that he's gonna sign it too, but we have directed our engineers to start the permit.
Okay, well, I guess, Mr. Mayor, that's what I need to understand, is if you're gonna be doing permitting, who are the people that you're going to, who are the agencies? Because there are a lot of different agencies based off of what that property is currently and how water moves on that property.
That's why we pay them, and our engineers will handle it based on our direction. So, it's out of our hands. None of us are experts in that area.
Okay, but again, as a citizen that this very much impacts, as well as other citizens that showed up here tonight, we need to know that our safety is a priority. I mean, we can't just pick up our houses and move. Would you agree with that?
I 100% agree.
And so our safety, it's not like we are playing a game. This is our safety. We have no other choices. A child has a choice, and the city has a choice. And the choice is, go out to the 60 acres that is high and dry, that the Baptist church is building infrastructure, and there's other infrastructure out there, and build towards our future, not towards our past.
I agree, but once again, you know, all the neighbors will be notified every step of the way, let's put it that way. I'll take that back. Notifying all the neighbors every step, probably not. We got to go through the permit process. If he comes back and says it's not doable, it's over.
Well,
No
with all
facts.
due respect, I want to make sure that Josh, because he is acting on the behalf of the city, with city tax dollars, that if I send him a public records request, he's gonna fulfill that request.
It comes to the city, you can't issue it to him to do that.
Okay,
I mean, you can't really go out and talk to, I guess as a citizen, you can talk to Josh.
correct.
But we're getting a little bit away from the budget.
They haven't begun the permitting process, they're just writing up a task order that would have to come back.
Clint,
Yeah, that's right.
thank you. I understand process pretty well. I've gone through a lawsuit. I've got the whole
All
thing.
right, let's
Now,
go back to the budget. Can you get back to the budget?
Yes.
Any amount of money
In
that.
the budget,
Okay.
okay. You have, compensation for employees. Is that correct? Is that still in there?
There's always that.
Well, the one that y'all been talking about through the budget process.
What about it?
Okay, is that in that budget?
There's a couple of, that's on the first page.
Okay, I took the time because you are a city manager run city, okay? So I went online and I did pull off your city government in the organizational chart. And so, with all due respect, Commissioner Hall, really, because I do understand, you've got people coming to you and asking for a raise. I get it. But the process with this organizational chart is very clear. It's the city manager. And so I think in the future, to alleviate problems, what you can do is if an employee comes to you, and God love them for doing that, because you represent them too, most likely if they live in the city, you have to say to them, have you talked to your immediate supervisor? If they say no, the conversation pretty well ends. Even if it's a friend of the employee, you say, you have to go through the chain of command based off of our charter. And that's how you do good things for the city workers, because then it doesn't turn into something that happens publicly. And, you know, as somebody who managed people and who was a director, I get it. You want to do the best for your employees, especially you guys at the top that are the CEOs and CFOs, so to speak. But you need to turn it back and say, go to your supervisor, who can then go to Jim if there's comments about licenses or anything. And that is the process, and that is what the charter says.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna hand this out to you all and put it in the record so that hopefully there's not that kind of confusion again.
Where did you get this info?
Off your,
Off the city
yeah,
website? Okay.
sure do.
All right. Just curious.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not gonna make stuff up.
I figured you went to the state.
No,
website or something.
I went to your city website.
Good. All right.
Here, if you go.
All right, who else? Who's next? Come up, Mr. Robert.
Good evening, y'all. Confused earlier. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't out of order when I spoke on this. I've been kind of out of the loop, the way I work,
Yes, sir.
and the way y'all changed the time from morning to evening, flipped off around. Actually, I can make this before, which I couldn't. you know, not kind of, anyway. But kind of going just where, I thought it would go, picking up Mr. Hopkins' comment from 4 years ago, everything kind of filled it in. I sat there and watched the meeting a couple times, the board meeting, the budget meeting. Couldn't watch the budget meeting, watched the meeting Tuesday. For some reason it wasn't, but I picked up some things that, notes that he brought up in the budget, but it's kind of the reason I'm here. And not, you know, not bad, but anyway, I kind of deciphered through it. She's already touched on some of it. So if I repeat some of the same things she said, I apologize. Okay. This is the first time I've been here in about 2 years. If y'all all remember, the last time was we were sitting here, the city on one side and the county on the other side, discussing the possibility of going to the Field of Dreams, in which Mr. Hoffman, you were mostly in favor of that. You had all the right answers of going to the Field of Dreams. You were right, Johnny, on the spot. You done your survey. The kids do, don't ride the bicycle. It takes 3 minutes to go down there. You was all in favor, all in. Okay. As of August 24th at the budget meeting, you stated you was on the committee. Like I say, I'm repeating that. And, you know, I'm still kind of wondering, you know, who is on that committee? We had a committee 4 years ago.
I just told you.
I understand. Like I say, I'm repeating something you said.
You know, I was just saying, why are you still wondering if I just said it?
Okay, I'll skip through some of this, like I say. Okay. You stated you were on the committee. Okay, now, looking ways to improve the 10th Street ballpark. Okay, you also, I'll tell you what, I put notes down, I try to be. You also stated that you talk to the young and old in St. Joe. As well as, residents. Okay, and once again, this is coming right back up 4 years later, but you're yet to talk to any residents. Okay, and when you've been put on the spot about this, you know, like I say, you have completely flipped from being in favor of going to the Field of Dreams to putting this right back in our neighborhood. Okay.
Robert, can I stop you just 1 minute? Please, this is a public hearing.
Okay, I'll speed up. Like I say, I put my notes down, and I'm trying not to repeat what Mr. McElroy, I'm doing my best.
We were asking, but I want to know what you have questions about the budget. Do you have any questions about the budget?
I have, okay, my question is mainly, why is the county bringing this back up to push this millions and millions of dollars into our city for funding? Why is it the county's idea is coming to Mr. Hoffman and not y'all board sitting up there? This is a city project. It's not a county. I don't have any right to vote what goes on in Weewall or Overstreet or anywhere else. See, you know, they got, why are they funding this? Okay, you know, that's my question.
You'd have to ask.
Why are they dictating what happens in my neighborhood? If my home gets flooded, if I'm out of my house, you see what I'm saying? But it seems like being the county pushing this issue again, Mr. Hoffman, I'm there with the budget. Pushing the funding, you starting to play the man in the shadows, the same thing you run on. You run 4 or 5 years ago. I'm not going to go with it. It seems like the man in the shadows is telling y'all what to do now to fund this budget. Okay, that's all I have to say.
We understand.
I appreciate your time.
We understand, we sure, thank you. All right. Yes, ma'am, would you like to speak? You would.
Sir.
Okay. All right. Okay, now we'll open the floor for commissioners to discuss the budget. Anything we need to, you feel like we need to change, now it's time to do it.
Just real quick, I spoke to Mr. Anderson this afternoon a little bit about the budget, and based on our discussion, staff ready to move forward.
Okay.
I support the budget as presented for us tonight.
You did? Yes. Okay.
I support it, but I want to say something. The thing with Thomas Sims, I realize and understand that it's a charter and things need to be done by this charter. I mean, it's right here in black and white. And, but as well, you know, we need to watch what we put on the website. If it's not, true, because I had the paper that we had with Mr. Thomas Sims being a supervisor. If he wasn't a supervisor, that shouldn't even been on the website, as him being a supervisor. So, that's the reason that I support the budget at this time. But as me being a director, I think that in the future, we really need to go by this charter and stick to it. Sometimes, we have employees that get treated unfair. I think that's a reason. Well, you still need to let your supervisor know, that the city, manager know. And if they can't solve it, that's when you come to us and we'll solve it then. So with that said, I will support the budget at this time, but I just want to let you know how I felt about the thing with Thomas City.
Right, I think we discussed that one line item enough that I think we probably won't see it come up again. Future, hopefully not. There's one thing on there I would like to see us do though, based on council's recommendation, is on Thomas Sims, a punch sign release. I think we need to remove that part out of that line item. And just, if you want to vote for the budget with his merit increase, then, you know, that's fine, but I think we need to eliminate that. Clint, if you want to comment on that, go for it.
I think I agree with you.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, is everybody, are you, oh, okay.
I didn't understand.
See, where it says Thomas Sims, upon sign release, we will get him to sign a release that, or he may not come back and sue us or something like that. Clint said it would be detrimental to the city in the future if we.
So we're just taking those three words out, upon sign release. We don't expect them to sign or release it if,
Budget goes forward, then that's the $1.75 stay, which is $3,640 increase. And of course, you guys know that I've been against it from the get-go.
So it'd be $1.75 and then that'd be the 6.5.
Assume, is that correct, Smith?
Same as the.
Yeah, those two on the end.
Yeah, same as the next. Yeah.
That's something, last meeting, you wanted to do something about water treatment and wastewater licenses.
No, that won't be till next year's budget. Just something I wanted to discuss and see if we can close that can of worms though, 15 years ago, so. Well, anyway, if there's not a better way, then, you know, it's okay, but I think it stirred up a lot of bad will for that matter. So, anyway, all right. So we're at the, we gotta have the, motion to, approve the, 2023-2024 budget. So, entertain a motion for that.
Motion to approve the budget as presented with the understanding that the three words upon sign and release are omitted from the budget.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Lowry. Further discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Opposed.
Ordinance number 605, an ordinance of the city of Port St. Joe, Florida, adopting the tentative budget for fiscal year 2023-2024 as the final budget of the city of Port St. Joe, Florida for fiscal year 2023-2024 and providing for an effective date.
And it'll come back to you on the 22nd for the final vote and adoption of your budget and your ad valorem.
And I'd like to say this, I should have said it before the vote, that it has nothing to do with Thomas Sims, at all. My negative vote, it's more of the future, I guess. It opens up problems for the future, how the flow chart should always be. So, anyway, all right, anything else, board?
So with that, on the 22nd, that's another 5:01.
Yes, sir, has to be at 5:00.
That'll be the final reading. All right, that's it. We'll stand adjourned. Thank you for coming. And the 20